Hello everyone, I hope you're all well today. I wanted to make a quick video primarily for our members, just to bring everyone up to date with what's been happening recently at the ADINJC, but also more specifically with our colleagues at NASP. So if you're not aware of what NASP is a collection of the three main driving instructor associations, our colleagues at the DIA and the MSA, and NASP meets on a regular basis with the DVSA to put forward concerns of our members about things like test waiting times, about examiner shortages, standards check waiting times for Part 2 and Part 3 tests. Pretty much primarily that's been the issue for the last kind of 12 to 18 months now. We also try to work with DVSA to help them in their communications with driving instructors and the wider industry. We think there is value in that. So NASP met last with the DVSA in February 2025. That was my first NASP meeting as acting chair of the ADINJC. And at that meeting there was a lot of frustration on the part of NASP in terms of various things, but particularly the kind of rollout of the 7-point plan to reduce waiting times and how effective that had actually been. We had some questions around the way it was phrased and whether it was a plan in itself, and as much as a couple of the things on the 7-point plan were actually consultations. There was no real action that was focused on the short term in resolving the very difficult issue of lack of driving examiners, lack of driving tests. And we made our points pretty forcefully to NASP that we weren't seeing on the ground and from members, and we weren't receiving feedback that things were changing. And indeed DVSA confirmed back to us that, as we now know, the situation has deteriorated from what it was in 2024. So obviously that's not good, and we passed on many concerns from members that have been sent in to us. Now, I should say at NASP, our colleagues, DIA and the MSA, we're not unreasonable. We do fully appreciate the challenges that an organisation that like DVSA faces. We fully accept the fact that being a driving examiner is not a particularly glamorous job. There are challenges with pay structure within Department for Transport. We appreciate the fact that it takes a long time to train as an examiner. We appreciate that people will start and they'll drop out. And we also we understand that there's a 10% attrition rate across the board, which is fairly normal for an organisation of this size, which means that in any kind of calendar year, any 12-month period, 10% of driving examiners, roughly speaking, are going to stop being driving examiners for various reasons: retirement, illness, going on to do different things, going part-time, all these kind of things. We do understand that. However, speaking personally, but I know that my colleagues at NASP broadly agree, what came out of that meeting was a real kind of focus from the DVSA that examiner recruitment was the thing that was going to fix the solution. So there's a figure that they had, I think it was recruiting another 300 examiners, full-time across, bedding in 300 examiners would be enough to reduce the waiting time to 7 weeks, I think it was nationally. And I'm a bit sceptical of that, as from what I read and from what I understand of the situation, from my involvement with the NJC and my short time with NASP. I'm very sceptical of that, because I think one of the main issues that we have is obviously the online booking system. And this has come to a head this week in particular, but I know it's been going on for such a long time because we hear from members on a weekly basis. It's really challenging, a really challenging experience that driving instructors on the ground are facing. I know this, I understand this. I own a small driving school. I know that our driving instructors are really struggling with this. I know the frustrations, I know the pressure from booking tests yourself, from learner drivers and parents trying to book driving tests. So we understand that it's so difficult, and I just can't shake the feeling that there are still too many people or too many organisations booking too many tests at 6 AM on Mondays and selling them on third-party apps or even on WhatsApp groups, as we've been told up and down the country. And the fact that the legislation is not coping with the fact that people are profiteering on the back of this. And this was a point that we made following that NASP meeting in February. We put that in writing to DVSA along with the NASP report that is available on the NASP website. And our understanding of it was that DVSA had actually made the case to Department for Transport that an online booking system is required. It's a legacy system we're working with at the moment. There are some things that have been put in place, obviously, from January, stronger terms and conditions, but it's not resolved, that things are still going on. So from a personal point of view, I can't shake the feeling that they need to fix the booking system. It doesn't matter how many examiners they have in place, to a certain extent, we're still going to have this issue of people taking advantage of test availability and technology to kind of hoover up all that excess, all those tests that are becoming available. And you know, something I wasn't aware of until very recently was the fact that the online booking system now just seems to be creaking under the strain. We've had emails this week from members, very angry members, rightly so, that you know they're getting up really early on a Monday morning. Sometimes they're managing to get a test into their basket, but then that system is timing out, and when they're able to get back in, they've lost the test. That's just crazy, absolutely mad. And yes, so clearly it's crumbling. So a new booking system is crucial. But along with that, we probably need a complete overhaul of how driving tests are sold, how people are able to access that system, how people are able to access it, just the general public as well. So as I say, following the NASP meeting in February, we followed that up with a letter to NASP, kind of outlining our concerns in writing, if you like, from what came out of that meeting. And we addressed it to Loveday Rider, along with some other concerns that we have around logistical things to do with representation, stakeholders, that kind of thing, not relevant to test waiting times. And as of today, 23rd of April, we had not received a reply from Loveday Rider. Fully appreciate bank holidays, all that kind of thing. But as my colleague Carly at the DIA mentioned, a holding letter from one of her members of staff would have been nice. And the letter that NASP put together, was quite comprehensive. It was meant for DVSA, but as a result of the fact that we hadn't received a reply, we decided as a group to kind of publish that letter more widely. We decided to distribute it to Department for Transport and various people kind of higher up than the DVSA, and we also agreed as a group to share that with our members, and we're doing that today with this video. If you're a member of one of the associations, you should receive a copy of that letter today to let you see the work that NASP does behind the scenes, because I'm relatively new to it, but I kind of get the feeling that there is more work we can do as an organisation of stakeholders to share the work that we do. I'm more than aware of the feelings on social media about what the associations do, what NASP does. All we can do is carry on doing what we do and believe in what we're doing is right. And maybe we need to do a better job of, with the PR on that side of things, because we do work hard. And just before I came out to record this video, I'm heading off to a part 2 training session shortly. Just before I came out to record this video, we had the breaking news that the Secretary for Transport, Heidi Alexander, has put out a statement to say that by next summer, plans will be put in place to resolve the situation by next summer. And she made a couple of points that I've just written down. As I say, it's just breaking news. So she's pledged to resolve the problem by next summer. She said that government would now consult on changes to the test booking system. I'll come back to that in a second. That there would be a crackdown on test booking bots, which she said were exploiting learners, which we all know about. And probably most importantly, asking those in other DVSA roles who are qualified to examine to temporarily return to the front line. Now, this is mirroring the scenario we had towards the end of last year, where all warrant card holders were asked to come back into the front line and deliver driving tests. And we know that the one thing that has made a significant impact on test waiting times was that measure, and it's something that NASP has been drawing the attention of DVS to since kind of December, January of this year. It was the one thing that we said that had made, by DVSA's own admission, had an impact. Now, I'm not taking credit, I'm not giving full credit to NASP for making this happen. As I say, all this is happening at the same time, which is why it's really important to get this video out here. But I kind of feel that one of the primary functions of a national association, one of the primary functions of NASP, is to push for answers from the DVSA. And when we don't get those answers from the DVSA, it's our responsibility to go beyond the DVSA. And I wanted to get that out to our members that we are doing that. We're doing that with our colleagues at DIA and MSA. And it seems like it's starting to have a bit of an impact now, where we have the Secretary of State for Transport putting out a statement like this. This has come out, and DVSA have not given us advance notice of it, and that tells us that DVSA didn't really know about it until very, very recently. So that's positive news on that front of it, on that side of things. Still a lot more work to be done. I mentioned the line, consult on changes to the test booking system. You know, we will be following this up. We will be making the point that this is beyond consultation. This is a decision really has to be made. They need to find a supplier. DVSA has made the case already to DFT. A decision really has to be made about what's going to happen going forward with a new booking system, and potentially changes to legislation about how driving tests are booked in this country and who has access to do that, and all these kinds of things. So as your representative, as a national association, this is our job. This is one of our primary roles. So please continue to let us know what's happening when you're booking tests. Many of you do. Many of you send your experiences in of trying to book tests on a Monday morning. Many of you tell us about lack of availability. Many of you tell us about, you know, shortages of examiners at varying test centres around the country. And it's really important that you do so, because we forward all of these things on to DVSA. It enables us to keep the pressure up. It's what helps us to do our job. Please be assured that we do work hard on this. We do everything in our power that's possible when you're dealing with an organisation like the DVSA. So yeah, really positive, well, maybe not really positive. I think it's positive breaking news today from Heidi Alexander. We will wait to see what DVSA come back with. Oh, final note, accompanying the breaking news from Heidi Alexander, we did have a follow-up from DVSA inviting us to a consultation around how the new booking system should work and what would happen with that side of things. So there is a consultation that will go ahead. NASP will be attending, ADINJC will be attending, and we'll be putting forward many of the points that we've made previously, that we've come up with ourselves, but also input from members is invaluable. There are loads of really good ideas that come from driving instructors. Some of them practical, some less so, but Joe, please be assured that we do read all these, so continue to send them in, and we'll keep doing our best. This kind of chairman's report kind of format, if you like, is something that we're keen to do a little bit more of. We share a chairman's report at our members' meetings that happen on a quarterly basis, but, you know, taking advantage of video and, you know, perhaps using YouTube a little bit more than we do at the moment. If you're not subscribed to the ADINJC YouTube channel, please go and do that. Lots of really good training content on there from Tom Stenson, who's our head of training, and I'll be sharing kind of semi-regular reports on here from the chair as well, hopefully in particular about test waiting times. So thanks very much for watching. Please, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll be doing our best for you behind the scenes as well. Thanks.